Hi, I'm John Timmerman, and I prefer tube socks when I run, but not when I walk.
Hi, I'm Rob Schauger. You know what, I wonder how many miles my thumbs have scrolled.
Hey, I'm Al Kutri, and I've never been to the West Coast.
And we are the founders of the No Bull Company. What's up, Buzz Nation? Are you a fan of Gary Vaynerchuk? How about AJ Vaynerchuk? How about David Meltzer? Well, you can see them all for free. April 8th. 2021 at our No Bull 2020 conference, No Bull 2020 2.0 that is. That's a free $250 ticket. All you have to do is head to empathywines.com, buy any 12 bottles of delicious Empathy wine, use the code NOBULL2020 at checkout, and you will get a free $250 front section seat. That's right. Just head to nobull2020.com for more details. What's up, Buzz Nation? Welcome to I'm a Little Buzz, the show where we bring a ridiculous amount of life to business, all while sharing a glass or a can of whatever makes you/us happy, while talking about whatever gets us buzzed. Fellas, what's getting you buzzed right now? Rob, what's getting you buzzed?
My garden is exploding with joy.
Holy, humidity's doing it,
The
right?
heat and a little bit of rain. We got blossoms galore.
Nice.
Fantastic. It's going to be a good harvest.
I can feel it.
You?
My newborn son is becoming a small human. Like, the transition is made from where it's just like coos, like he still does like the random noises, but he's responding in a way, like literally was inside today, walked out the door, like said like bye, walked out of the door. Like my wife is in there with him.
I thought he said bye.
No.
I was like,
No.
I thought he walked out the door. I was like, you ain't shitting. He is growing up. Wow.
Little human, like
Yeah,
a little
like-
E-Trade baby.
He's like, see you, John.
I'll be back. I'm taking your car. No, but I walked out the door, and I was like, bye. And I literally walked out. I forgot something, so I immediately turned around and walked back in. And when I opened the door, his whole body, like, convulsion of excitement, like, responding to, like, see me after literally 2 seconds. Yeah. I shut the door and literally opened it back up, and he was just like,
That's gonna be
So you know what Buzz Nation really wants to know?
What?
They want to know about Tripp's kneecaps.
I don't know if he has kneecaps yet. I don't know when.
Oh, here
I don't
we
know.
go.
When do we find that out?
I don't know when babies
Did you
actually
poke
get
him?
Kneecaps. His legs are too fat. Even if he had them, I couldn't find him.
Same. Same.
Same.
You too?
Same.
Yeah.
Don't poke my kneecaps. There's nothing's gonna be there.
Yeah, they might be in there. You just can't find them.
You can't find
Yeah.
them. Like my abs.
So what's getting you buzzed?
I got a big fat juicy watermelon at home.
Ooh. Gonna dive into
that
that?
I can't wait. Because again, I may or may not have eaten today.
Again?
Every time we have a podcast, I get I don't know what happens.
Get distracted.
But I can't wait to get home
And eat.
and Gallagher that thing, chop it in half,
One of these episodes,
crush it.
we should take a watermelon,
Ah.
some Empathy wine,
Oh,
Uh-oh.
poke the hole.
with the
I don't know, the red or the rosé. Probably the rosé.
Rosé.
Yeah.
all day rosé.
All day rosé.
Yeah, with the water. You know how they put the drill?
Future episode. I think we should do it.
Put a spigot in it.
Yeah.
Cap it. Done.
There you go.
Oh man. Wow. Anyways, so we're all pretty buzzed.
Yeah.
But now is the time to cheers to life, love, lots of laughter, and Al staying calm when testing all of our production
That's
equipment.
never gonna happen.
Cheers.
Ever. Yowzer. Today's episode is brought to you by Chuck E. Cheese Balls, where dad jokes, bad jokes, and sad jokes all compete for the crown of the biggest cheese ball. It's a great game for a lame-ass party. I've got schmutz on my shirt.
Yeah, well, today is a solo show.
Here we
just
are.
the three of us. Quick little update
Nice.
show, or not really an update show. Just a
Just a thing. Chit-chat.
chit-chat show. But we want to bring some value to you out there who are trying to start your business, juggle your life with all of said business activities. So we're going to talk about overcoming weaknesses to find success in life and business. Really in business, but in life and business also. Rob and I were listening to a podcast, or I listened to the podcast. I don't even know if you listened to it.
Which one? Listened to a bunch this week.
The Ed Milet, J.P. Pearson? Is that his name?
I did listen to some of that, yeah.
So it was a pretty cool podcast, and just talking about finding your weaknesses, recognizing them, overcoming them instead of trying to fight them, right? And get better at them. You know, you can find other ways forward. So anyways, this podcast is not about that podcast, but we all have our own weaknesses. We've all had to try to overcome them or overcome them today to try to grow this business, to try to grow previous businesses. So I thought this was a really relevant topic that hopefully brings some value to you out there listening or watching, to see how we kind of juggle our own shit while we're trying to grow the rocket ship known as the No Bull Company.
Boom.
Yeah. So I'll start because I've thought about this a bit, and one of my biggest weaknesses is the details, right?
Devil's
There's
in the details.
So many details in running your own business. Rob, you know it. You started a small business, a lawn care company. Like, you have to do everything yourself. And nobody is good at everything. And if you get good at that thing, it starts taking away from the things that you are naturally good at because you just don't have enough time to do, to do everything.
Right.
So something is going to suffer, right? So earlier in my career, first of all, my strength has always been like imagination, strategy, kind of like vision, seeing everything and how it could be and like what could happen.
Yeah.
And I focus so much on that, my brain automatically goes to that I have trouble with the details. Well, starting Good Monster, it was just me and my business partner at the time, so we had to do everything. Also, he wasn't good at the details either.
Nope.
So that was a rough start. But I had to learn. Like, you can either find money, find another business partner, find somebody to fill the gaps, which is sort of what we've found in each other a bit. But at the time, did not have that, and so I had to spend so much more time than somebody who is type A, that is really good at details, to try to get it right, that the imagination and the future, the vision and what comes next went away.
Yeah.
So literally what happened for the first, I would say, 6 years of Good Monster was I had all these strategies for a client. I tell them, they're like, love it, let's do it. We brought them on as a client, and then we had to do all the work. Right? So now I had to learn all the details. I had to do I had to learn Facebook's new algorithm and SEO and just everything, right? Whatever we were doing.
Right.
So then the vision and the strategy of how do I grow Good Monster and how do I hire this employee for when this happens, and I got pulled into the business is a kind of the common term, like you work in the business, not on the business.
Yep.
Got pulled into the business. We thankfully did good work for the client or the clients, but I can remember we lost a client just purely due to they were sold, and the company that bought them wanted to use their current marketing agency. So they're like, thank you very much, you did a great job, but see you later. I had no next client. I had no sales pipeline. I had no marketing that we were doing to fill the gap of that client. It was a pretty good size client. So now backs up against the wall. Oh shit, how am I going to afford this? That income's gone. That probably happened 3 times over the course of Good Monster, and only was able to realize that weakness is definitely not something that I should be paying attention to. I should not be trying to do the details. That's not where my strengths are. And any time I do that, probably the details will suffer because I suck at those anyways. And the strategy is going to suffer because I'm not focusing on it. So finally learned that, and coincided with finding a great project manager for Good Monster that is amazing at that stuff. And so now the pair of us, along with our other team members, are really allowing us to grow. Yeah. So although the success is not achieved, it's like an ongoing thing. We're finding that momentum, we're going. So the finding your weaknesses and really trying to figure out how to not focus on those, offload those to somebody else, or bet on your strength so that your weaknesses are smothered, is absolutely the best way to go about it. I'm solely convinced that now, and it's a really hard pill to swallow, right? It's a really hard thing to swallow, saying like, yeah, I suck at this thing, and I should not be doing it.
It's a necessary pill, though.
I should not be doing it.
Yeah, it's necessary.
Yeah. So that's my story.
So I think that there's a time when you have to do it all. There's a time when you need to grow it enough to get to a point where, okay, I've hit this plateau. I've got some money. Now you need to know like when to invest in that in the next step, right? Mm-hmm. To bring on, maybe it's that first employee or whatever that is. I think and it's different for everybody. Like, so you hear like all these social media, influencers say, well, just start, just go do it. Well, yes, you should just start, just go do it. That's great. But you also need to have some sort of a plan. Mm-hmm. So like for me, I've always been a starter and so excited and so wanting to just start something that I did, but that I never followed through or never thought it through really all the way. So jump into business, like going back to, my first company was actually when I was, I don't know, late, or mid-teens, was mowing lawns in the neighborhood. And then late teens, early 20s was starting another business where I was offering trimming and pruning of shrubs and stuff like that. And then that led into another business, and you never knew the business behind, like I had no reason to be in business. Like I could provide a service, but the business part was lacking. So word of advice today, like if you're thinking of going into business for yourself, to make sure that you've surrounded yourself with enough of the right people. And there are free services out there today for different things. If you're missing something or lacking something of a skill set, reach out to people and say, hey, do you know anybody that does this? And chances are you'll find somebody in an organization, maybe a nonprofit, that's willing to help you in some of those things. But multiple times I like start and then, oh shit, I don't like, what am I doing here? And then give up, roll over, forget it, put it on the shelf, let it collect dust.
So you get jacked up about the idea and you're totally the one to put in the work.
Yep, but then I'll work my ass off.
It gets to like where you're like, you don't know what the next steps are or something like that. Yep. And then it kind of fizzles.
Yep. And so the older I've gotten, the more I have pressed pause. So, okay, let's think this thing through. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's a little extra prayer time. Maybe it's a little like getting some more advice. But there's also something from getting too much advice, I think, or getting advice from the wrong person. Mm-hmm. Like, do not go to somebody who like don't take wealth advice from your broke relatives. Like that's one of the ones I always think of, like, oh, you shouldn't do that. I'm like, really? What the hell do you know? You guys, whatever. Everybody's got a different scenario, but there's through business and life, you'll always do not take advice from somebody who's not where you are and is far exceeded it.
What do they say? Never trust a thin chef.
That's a new one. I've not heard that one yet.
There you
Never
go.
trust
a thin chef.
This is what it is.
What about the couple we just saw making crazy fat cookies?
Yeah.
But they're like jacked.
Yep.
Don't trust them.
Keto cookies. No, trust that.
And then let's get some cookies.
They're our sponsor next week.
Yes. On day 76, we'll get
On day
some cookies.
76.
Yeah. But I think that so the older I've gotten, a little more wisdom, a little more patience, a lot more grace, and I've just learned that, okay, it's okay to press pause. Think through, at least you don't have to have the whole thing mapped out, but at least have the next 2 or 3 steps mapped out. And then it was, after that, for me, it was put the ego in check, right? So like, I don't need to be everything because I can't be everything. It's impossible.
Yeah.
You just talked about that. Like, so it's okay. And I don't have to be in the limelight. Right. So like we all discussed when we, formed the No Bull company that we were actually going to remove ourselves from the limelight. Like we said at 2.0, we're not speaking. This is not about us. And we went above and beyond really most of our skill sets from business and speaking, and look where we ended up. So we put the ego in check, took ourselves out of it, pressed pause, reevaluate. How many times have we pressed pause quickly, short pause, and then reevaluated and be like, okay, let's move. We're okay. And we've agreed that we are on the same page. We had some parameters and some rules put in place. And it was the same thing when I decided I was going to seek out some sort of the glue, as you guys have heard me refer to it, for my blueprint leadership development. Like, okay, should I do this? Because I looked at an opportunity once, I passed it up, and then I'm like, okay, 2 years have gone by. I'm going to look at it again. Short pause, waited for some confirmation for some things to line up as I needed to see them. They did much quicker, like within 2 to 3 days. I had some confirmation with a little help from upstairs and said, okay, we're good. Now let's move forward. And then still, I repeated the process and I pressed pause again. I said, okay, look, I'm not big enough to do what I need to do for the vision that I have. So reach out to other people and basically build a bigger team. And so COVID hit, pressed pause again, which was fine because the team opportunity actually grew because I pressed pause and didn't try to force something through during a time when it wouldn't have worked, Yeah,
actually brings me back to the interview that we just wrapped up with the Buttery Bros about, think of a couple of different ways they could have gone about their career, right? They could have launched their YouTube channel when nobody knew who they were.
Yep.
They could have put out great content, and they could have kept doing that over and over again and then reached out to sponsors. I mean, that's sort of what we're doing, right? Like we don't have a big name. So we've decided to put out content and then grow little bits at a time. Instead, they were affiliated with a major fitness organization. They already had the name for producing great content. And then when they kind of decided to leap off and do their own thing, they attached themselves to a massive athlete in the space. And then that did so well that then sponsors started contacting them, and like the momentum kind of already, happened.
Right.
Or I guess it happened a lot quicker because they had already kind of built up that, that clout.
But they started too. So they took us down a little bit of memory lane and said, hey, this is where we were. This is how we got started. So I was talking with our friend Steve today. You and I both given him the same advice. So Steve owns this business, Al, that they do cost analysis for businesses. Like he'll look through all of your bills and everything like that and find out where'd you miss something? Maybe you're being taken advantage of. So you told him this. I confirmed it today, and I said, hey, you should really just start doing more content on LinkedIn because really that's where your demographic is going to be outside of your cold calling and direct marketing.
Yeah.
And I said, just start by giving them some tidbits, what to look for. Give the value, right? But just start.
Yeah.
And because there's not a lot of... He's not going to lose a lot by doing that.
Yeah.
It's 5 minutes at a time.
And that's his current weakness. He self-proclaimed, said, this is not in my DNA. This is definitely out of my comfort zone. So right now that's a weakness, which... there's a few different ways you can look at it. You can either, like me, say, I'm never going to be good at details. I'm never going to be as good as somebody who's naturally good at details. They're a type A personality. That's just not... I have the other side of the brain going.
Sure.
Right? I've developed skills over time of looking at numbers and things like that because I've had to, but that's still not my strong suit. One way would be to avoid it and find somebody else to fill the gap. Another way of looking at this general topic of overcoming weakness is like Steve, who's overcoming that, uncomfortableness in front of the camera to find a little bit of success. He still might not be a natural, charismatic person on camera, but I saw his first video and he got
ton of feedback,
30 likes and a bunch of comments saying congrats on your first video. So even though it's not a strong suit, he's finding success by just overcoming that weakness.
And here's an example of where you don't want to bury your head in the sand and say, well, this is a weakness, I'm just going to hire somebody, is your freaking money. If you don't know how to manage your books within your business,
you're toast.
And all of those things, you need to learn that first, because otherwise you go and hire somebody out, they embezzle, they can take your money, they can like screw things up. And next thing you know, you've been so busy working, as you said, in the business, not on it, that next thing you know, you're like, oh, what do you mean we don't have any money in the bank this week?
Yeah.
Like there's certain things you've got to put the time in to learn them before you go and hire somebody, even if that person is not an employee but actually a professional. Mm-hmm. Just because somebody's a professional doesn't mean that they're not going to screw up and make mistakes, that they're not going to be, unethical.
Mm-hmm. Or they just don't have the focus, right? If they're a finance professional that has 30 different clients, their attention can only go to so many different places, right? So they might not be looking for, you're wasting, talking about cost analysis, you're wasting $1,000 on all of these things that you signed up for. I mean, we get this shit all the time at Good Monster. We sign up for like a software program to make social media posting easier or measuring Google ads or whatever it is. Team doesn't use it for 3 months and we all forgot it was even there.
Right.
So now you've lost the money. And as Steve pointed out today, you may have canceled it or told somebody to cancel it, but your continued payment, and this is how the verbiage is in the contract. Well, if you continue to pay, it means the same as you're continuing, you wanting the service. Mm.
So they could just claim it's like a mistake or something? Yeah,
so I told you to I don't want the service anymore. You didn't cancel it. 3 months later, I continue to pay you. Well, in your contract, it says, hey, acknowledge of payment is acknowledge of contract. It's not your fault.
So you have to cancel it.
You cancel your card. I need to follow up and make sure I canceled it and it's done.
Yeah, and the payment's not coming out anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, to jump off what you
business
said,
lessons,
about focus. That is 100% my weakness. Is focus. Like I have the attention span of a moth, in terms of, unless I'm like at 2:00 in the morning and when I'm learning something online, I'm focused because I'm like, okay,
you're in your groove.
I'm in the groove. When I'm playing, I'm focused. But someone in my position where you're building all sorts of different things. You're building this company with you guys. I'm in real estate. I'm in the stock market. I got the charity on the board doing the marketing. Probably 12 different things that are somewhat unrelated, and all the people pulling you in those directions to get those things off the ground. And I keep adding more things, right? Which is stupid. I shouldn't, but I like them. I'm interested in them. And I am sort of a firm believer that you should try a lot of shit to get a lot of shit off the ground. I don't think there's an entrepreneur in the world that doesn't have multiple streams of income. But in this phase of building that, for someone that's it's very difficult and shit starts to fall apart in one place or another. Like this thing, I should have done this 2 days ago, but I didn't because, it wasn't here. But, shit starts to, you see the cracks start to come through, and then you don't get things done. And then it's scattered, and then it turns into this oh shit, I forgot that. Like this morning I was writing radio ads, which were due, they were supposed to start today, which means they're done, the spots are made, they start running. I was writing them this morning because I forgot about them on Thursday of last week because, whatever, it was a random email that was like, hey, can you write these ads? Sure, no problem. Didn't get to it. So that's my weakness, is too many irons in the fire, which is an okay thing, but I don't have a structure that I follow to attack every single one of them. So I should get up in the morning and literally set aside 4 hours. And it's okay, the first 4 hours of my day, or whatever time, whether it's 2:00 in the morning or 9:00 in the morning, it doesn't matter. This is the 4 hours. The first 20 minutes is all Noble. The next 40 minutes is all Charity for Children. The next 30 minutes is all real estate, whatever. Then after that, stocks. This, and just one thing at a time, just knock them out. But what ends up happening is because I don't do that, I'll start writing the whatever for Noble at 9:00 in the morning. My buddy Joe will call me regarding something and be like, hey, can you do this? And I'm like, shit, yeah. And I'll start to do that. And like,
is it because is part of that because you're a pleaser? Like you don't like to tell people no?
No, it's because those things need to get done, and so I continue to put everything first. So I like, I'm in the middle of a task.
Yep.
Instead of finishing the task, I'll start another task and then come back to this one. It's a huge weakness, and what ends up happening is it slows you down instead of speeds you up.
See, I actually do. I'm similar to you. I think Good Monster, and being an entrepreneur, being an owner of a company with employees has like pulled me back to the other side a little bit. So like not just the like bright shiny object, like I want to do this because it's fun.
Right.
I think you're in that same deal,
I'm,
but then you get smacked in the face with all the stuff you have to do, and then you're like, shit, I got to do that.
Right.
I have tendencies like that. I don't think the block of time will work for you.
I don't think so either.
Because it won't work.
It's not gonna work.
I've tried it for a decade.
Those are my weaknesses. I'm like,
but so you know what will you know what will work?
Hiring someone. I don't have the money for that.
No. What will work for you is if you find a task management software of some sort.
Yes.
I guarantee you, it can be whatever. Asana, Red Booth, Todoist. There's a zillion of them. And stay dedicated to it. I can pull up my phone if I wasn't recording this on it right now.
Yeah.
I have not only that, which is like all of the team shit that I need to do, right? Mm-hmm. But then I have a note in my iPhone that I've been using now for a couple of years. It is just a long list. It's got the check bubbles.
Just like we use in Renewal.
All the way down of all the stuff that I have to do. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that works, because previous this has not worked. Task management stuff, I would fill it and then I would not go through it. The one thing that has worked with this, and I can say that I have in my life and business been more successful just because of this one iPhone list, is that I go through it every day. I make sure things are in order that they come in, and that I spend 15 minutes on the shitter in the morning organizing that list and checking things off that are done and literally deleting things that are not urgent or not even like, because some ideas go in there, like things. I will literally delete them and say, you know what, this is not worth having a to-do list that's a mile long. Mm-hmm. It's actually worth just deleting that off there. Or maybe I'll email it to myself so it's somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. But like keeping that one list clean has drastically changed my productivity. Probably also the reason why Good Monster's doing so well now.
So I called that in another meeting today. I called that toilet time. And I'm like, hey, this is toilet time. When you're sitting down to take care of your business for the day, bang this thing out. Just make sure you get up before your feet fall asleep.
Which almost never happens for me. Every time every time my legs fall asleep.
Oh, I was going to say, it happens often.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's almost never a time that I am fast about that.
Yeah.
The moment you get yourself to do that, and you probably won't, because somebody else somebody else telling me didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
Right? So you need to
I have lists upon lists upon lists of notes of different categories of literally a whole notebook for the charity, a whole notebook for this, a whole notebook for the digital workshop. And they all have their own things that need to get done.
But you don't check them daily.
I don't check them daily. You
got to find the thing that you check religiously. It's got to be a religion for it to work for people like you or I. I don't know if you're this way or not.
It's
Rob's
so I'm always sucked in what's the latest cool technology app that's going to make this thing better, faster, easier, quicker, and I'll get into 4 or 5 apps, I'll test them, and then like you said, I don't check it daily. So you know what I did? I threw all this shit out, and I'm down to I did that this weekend. I'm down to everything is in Google Calendar. If you use Outlook, I can pull in from there as well. But I found something that was simple that I knew I was going to look at every day, and as simple as this sounds to the audience, I've met consulting clients where they didn't even know that you could change because they don't work in it. That Google Calendar has color shades and you can color block and shade out everything. If you looked at my freaking Google Calendar right now,
it's
it looks like
Technicolor.
like Willy Wonka's factory. Like
All
there's
rainbowed
colors
out.
all over the place. But in order for me to retool and do what I needed to do, especially throwing in the the 75 hard workout project, I'm like, I needed another 90 minutes in my day. So now the day starts at 5, ends at 11. And the whole week, so all the reoccurring stuff is all done, all that's in there. I now have my open spots, which are white in the calendar. And drive time is another thing. Like if you're on the road doing things and you're not, working from a home office or a 9 to 5 where you're in an office, you've got to account for the road time. Road time is a freaking time sucker. So what else can you be doing with that road time? So you should be turning your vehicle into a library where you're listening to something that's educational. It's going to help you grow your business and change. Road time, drive time in my calendar is in red because it's a freaking life sucker. I can easily do 10 to 15 hours a week in drive time. So I'm taking it one step further. And now I'm like, okay, what is it that I want to be listening to this week in my drive time? And have that list all ready to go.
Yeah.
So that but then it becomes the habit. And I don't think that 21 days, although that's the number we've heard from experts for years, I think you're talking more like 60 to 90 days before things now become a habit and become ingrained in your brain and just second nature.
Yeah, I mean, mine, I used to do what you did. Different apps. Oh, this app's going to make it easier. But I learned, for me personally, I learned real quick. It literally does not matter. Nope. I tried writing it down. Then I tried Todoist, which is another app company. Then I tried using
that one.
Red Booth, and I just realized it literally doesn't matter what you use. Just keep using the same thing.
What's the
and looking at it? That's the thing.
It has to be
Joe
a religion.
Joe Rogan always promotes this product. What's the that focus? That focus. It's literally there's an ad for it every 2 seconds.
Oh, what app?
No, it's like a pill, a focus pill, like a brain.
Oh, the nootropics. He always says nootropics.
Yeah,
that's
but
like
there's
the generic term for what it is. I don't know what it is, but
Ritalin?
No, but there are times where like even with the list, right? I'll be thinking about something, or we'll be on, we'll have a guest on or something, and in my brain, and I should probably just see like a doctor maybe, But I will completely check out, completely, and I'll be like, and my brain will be like someplace totally different, thinking about whether this camera is still going, whether like if I locked my house properly.
Plastic bag.
Oh my gosh. Some days I think to myself, I'll never succeed in anything. Like this is too much. And then and then other days I'm like freaking a superhero when it comes to getting things done.
In sticking with the theme of the show, so let's put Al on the spot. Is it okay if we put you on the spot?
Depends, but yeah.
So let's walk out of here today with you saying, "Hey," you just went to confession.
Okay.
So now, like, okay, what's one thing
I'm good enough
that you're gonna do
people like
to work on the problem that you just had?
The one thing I'm gonna do to work on the problem I just had
because everybody's watching and they're gonna say, "Hey, did Al ever blah blah blah?" Or I'm struggling with that too. Like, what did Al do?
I'm going to dedicate a specific amount of time each day. I'm going to attempt what you're saying is not going to work because I want to try it.
To be clear, like it's not going to work because I'm telling you to do it. But like if you do it and you're like, oh shit, like you just what Rob said, like you need to see that. Holy shit! Like this is actually keeping me organized.
I'm going to attempt to set aside X amount of time at some point in the day. I don't want to say as soon as I get up because it depends. Sometimes I get up and I'm a bear and I'm like, I don't just want to eat. Other times I'm like, I'm right to the computer. Let's rock and roll. You know what I mean?
So what if you said...
But some point in the day that gets like an hour or 2 hours of dedicated, I'm going to knock off everything I can do.
You're more creative at night, right? I would assume.
typically at nighttime I perk up and I'm like.
But are you like?
I don't want to promote that.
Like,
I don't want to promote that. I want to get my. I want to change
because of
that
your
habit.
entertainment schedule.
It's because of the entertainment schedule. But I don't want to be. I want to switch my world around a little bit because
what happens when entertainment comes back?
When entertainment comes back, I'll be gigging at night and it won't matter.
Oh.
So I want to train my mind now to be like, get up, routine, get to work about whatever time, 9, 10 o'clock, bang out whatever I got to bang out from 9 to 11 or whatever it's going to be. Go do whatever I want to do, and then...
And Al's not a slacker. Al's up till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and that's why he's saying...
I mean, I'm learning all
he's not
sorts
starting until 9 or 10.
I'm not... Yeah, I mean, but then there are days that... the other day, I woke up at 5 a.m. I got up. I did a workout. I went and started working on some real estate stuff that I'm trying to get into, and I'm like... I'm a superstar right now. Like this was a good day. This is high performance. This is high performance right here. Yeah. I've read about this in the books.
Here it is.
Here I am.
Yeah.
And then the next day I was like, I couldn't even function.
Yeah, you can only sustain that for
so long. I got knocked down off my superstar CEO pedestal. But I have to get a little more structured to like, you know what I mean?
I do.
I have to.
If you're what I was thinking is that if you have a creative brain.
Yes, I do have a creative brain.
That's proven to be more of a night person. Like I'm way more. I could stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning, way easier than I could wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning, or 6 or whatever in the morning. Like that's just built into my DNA. Mm-hmm. I remember being in like middle school, and I'm like up at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like just could not. Like it wasn't even like my brain was racing. Like I just wasn't tired. Yeah. And I vividly remember like just opening my closet and being like, I want to wear this t-shirt tomorrow or this t-shirt tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, I never had a bedtime ever.
And I was just like,
no,
never in my life. And I love my mom, but I will blame her for this because
she didn't make you go to bed.
Have to get her back on the show.
No, because she can talk all about this, but it's her fault entirely. So. My dad would work like the overnight shift.
Yeah.
And my mom was a night owl. She grew up that way. And so she would literally have like company over. She'd call like my aunt or her cousins or whatever and be like, you want to come over for coffee? And it'd be 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And then they would stay up until like 4 in the morning, like playing games and cheese and crackers. And like there were times where my dad came home from work at 7 in the morning. They were still up like, hey.
Wow.
And so I was like.
And you were still up?
Well, I wasn't still up at that point, but there were times I was. Like, when I got older, I was like, yeah! Like, let's go. So I never had a bedtime. I was up all hours of the night.
Do you think it's more
what do you want to do tonight, Ma? 3 in the morning. I Love Lucy's over, so what should we do now?
Is it more that or more gigging? Because it seems like way more that is the reason.
Oh, that is definitely the reason.
Yeah.
Yep. And that just
which is why I love gigging. Because, like... I'm out, I'm ripping it up, having a great time, and then 2 o'clock in the morning, it's like you're done with the wedding, you're done with whatever it is. I mean, I don't gig that late anymore, but like most of my gigs end at, let's say, the latest midnight at this point. But then I'm like
you're
ready
still
to go.
1 or 2 in the morning because your brain is
right. Like I have so much noise in my head, like like all the pounding that you hear. And that'll last until like 2, 3 in the morning.
It's like getting off a boat and you're still going like this, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so I'll get home.
Al's just still going like this.
Yeah, like everybody's in bed sleeping, and I'm like,
I've heard that. I've heard all sorts of interviews of like bands and musicians say the same thing. Like you get off and like you could have just been up for 24 hours straight, but it doesn't matter. You still need a couple of hours to like
come down off of that adrenaline rush. So. As obviously when I was a kid, I was up all night, so I was used to it. But I'm still that way. I don't necessarily want to be that way, though. I just can't.
Try to, like, instead of trying to fit it into, like, 9 to 11 or whatever it is, just make it the first thing you do when you wake up.
Right.
Like,
that's it.
Like, that's, again, we're different people, but I'm
doing that, actually.
Noticing so many similarities.
Yeah, I make I have a very strict routine. I get up, 2 bottles of water, first thing, chug it, start sipping my coffee. And then the coffee kicks in, and I'm like, this is my prime time to go up to the computer because my brain is like kicking into gear. Yeah. And then I have a pretty good crash right after that.
Eat something.
Pretty sizable crash around 12.
So how come you're not having breakfast during the time?
because I also am trying to like not eat until 12.
Right, so you're fasting.
To fast until 12, which isn't that, it's not even that long of a fast.
Right.
But like a good 12-hour fast in. And then I eat whatever, breakfast, lunch. And then everything's
Except
pretty
on
much...
show days.
Except on show days when I don't do any of that. And
These are the days when you should do that the most.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should get up and
I should have like a whole watermelon before I come.
the task list thing.
Oh, yeah.
It'll especially on a Monday.
But like even when we were doing just a little bit ago, there's someone going to my aunt's house to buy something I flipped online. They were talking to me and I'm like, Joe, can you, like, she's going to be there. Have her pay for Venmo, put the dresser in her car. Like that kind of shit, that happens all the time to me. And it makes me feel bad because I'm like, I should shut that right down. Handle all those things in the morning where I'm like, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to be offline from 4 p.m. until 7 p.m.
Yeah.
No one can get a hold of me because I'm doing the podcast. Set up all the things in place to happen.
Right.
But I don't.
Why
They
not?
get, well, because I'm a schmuck.
You're not alone. Like,
Just
so
like,
did you hear
why
what
not?
Ed Milet said on the podcast the other day? He's like, look, when you first thing you get up in the morning, do not freaking pick this up. He says, leave it alone and go take for him, it's,
Walk.
his half an hour to an hour of quiet time. Like, as soon as you turn that damn thing on and you
Jesus,
look
see?
at it, you're going to get sucked into 5 different social media channels and emails and text messages and this, and the other thing.
I don't agree with that for me because like for him I understand it. Like he's got millions of followers and whatever emails and businesses and stuff like that. I don't have businesses that size, but I go on for that list, right? So like
I do have millions of followers.
But
wish.
if you waited 30 minutes before you checked the list, what would happen?
I would waste 30 minutes.
So see, John knows.
Like
What works for John.
That's just me, right? Like
Yeah.
so I can only speak to my weaknesses
Right.
and maybe a little bit of Al's because they are just like
Dude, they suck.
mine, right? Like so I was in the dart, like humming. What's my nickname? Humjagger.
Humjagger.
Yeah,
And
the hummingbird, like
yeah, in our defense though, it's not like, ooh, look, a deer. It's like, ooh, look, our other project.
right.
Right.
It's not
Yeah.
like scattered, like
Yep.
you can't. It's just we do a lot of things that we love them all, and they all require a lot of energy.
Like I'll be honest right now, our jeans company is like non-existent in terms of moving for a variety of different reasons, but one of them is like we've had to prioritize some of the more important things. Being parents, number 1. Number 2, good monster. Number 3, no bull, right?
Right.
So the third company has all the systems like set up and ready to go. It's also 100 degrees, which doesn't help selling jeans. But
Seasonal.
that's another thing where we've found a team to like help sort of move that forward this fall. That's not as much of us as it used to be,
Yeah.
right?
And
So
you
like
really need to start that now to get ready for the fall, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're
So-
only a few months away.
we are. We're setting up a lot of the like things that when people are starting to look for jeans, like they're gonna see us.
Yeah.
But that's my point is that is one thing that we've made the choice to like stop doing. As much as it hurt because you lose momentum, you lose a lot of that you've like built up, and some of that's going to have to be started over again. Good Monster. This past week, the team got really jammed with a lot of stuff we're doing. So the end of last week and today and tomorrow we're going through and just checking everything and making sure that all the work that's being done is valuable because everyone's fucking flat out, right? So everyone's just jam-packed and busy and feeling like I can't take on another task. That's a problem. So go, auditing the tasks that you've gotten yourself into and saying like, okay, I should probably put this on pause for 6 months or whatever it might
Right.
be.
Don't even.
Yeah. Like, is it
Right.
bringing financial or emotional value to you in a way that's like worth it? Because like I've had to swallow some hard pills to turn some of those things off. Like I have a website you can go on right now, probably jtimmerman.com. Like I was writing blog posts and like, I'm going to be an author someday. And I'm just like, that's that's not
right now.
No, that's an uphill battle that is not worth trying to climb now.
Yeah.
But you have to do the audit first.
Right. And
To know, like, okay, here's the list. All right, as you said, what's moving me emotionally, what's moving me financially, what's, and then gone down through, and then put these things up on a shelf.
Well,
and then work with the rest.
And this was I've always been a little bit like this, but the COVID really launched me into like a opportunity driven place where I've got all this time. I don't have gigs. I'm not learning tunes. I'm not practicing. I'm just kind of like, my full-time job-ish, even in the video production world, gone. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like, I'm going to dive into all the things I've always wanted to dive into and really learn for 4 to 6 months, learn how this stuff works, learn the ins and outs of certain real estate moves, learn the ins and outs of TD Ameritrade and stocks. Because, like, why not? Then by the time my gigs come back, I'll already be in. I'll already be into the things and they'll just start to, like, work for me. But I've never done that before. Like, I've never actually taken the steps to learn the things I always wanted to learn because I was busy, like, with my life, doing stuff. So now it's like sensory overload, knowledge overload, everything overload, and I'm seeing the weaknesses. Like, I'm seeing the cracks in my ability to do so many different things, and I'm like, oh, I see now. I understand, like, how you really operate.
Yeah.
You little shit.
I just figured it out at like 5 years earlier than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Same thing happened.
It's crazy.
Cracks.
Yeah, you see all the cracks, and you're like,
another good example is the show that I have on LinkedIn now. I'm here for the waffles, but I'll stay for some questions.
Yes.
I have tried to start a show like that for
years.
A decade. I don't know. 8 years. Maybe not quite a decade.
All of my life.
But a long time. And I started it, and I got all jacked up about it. I mean, this is maybe a little bit of, like, all of it. We're all combining our weaknesses now.
It's the truth.
With our weaknesses combined.
Yeah.
We are Captain Planet.
Giant weakness.
Yeah.
In post, can they do like an orb of weakness here?
Together. Yeah. Yeah. So I tried, and I did all the steps, and I YouTubed it, and I filmed it, and I just started, and I posted it, and I put all, like, I would literally stop doing some of the more important things so that I could focus on this, because I knew 5 years from now this is going to be an amazing show. I'm just going to stay at it and tweak it, and whatever. 3 months gets down the road, 2 months gets down the road, I got like 5 viewers. I don't have enough time to figure out the, like, minutia of a YouTube video to really get it to go, and like all this, like, the details, right?
The details.
And meanwhile, I look back the previous 2 months, and I'm like, oh shit, all of these things, like, got, like, pushed off to the side. Like, that was the late 20,
Yeah. Wait, you're not talking about the current. The current show is very successful.
Yeah. No, I'm talking, like,
when you
show.
started.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. The first one was called, like, Monster Questions or something like that. And then the second one, I don't even remember the names of them, but, like, I just kept, like, reinventing, thinking, oh, this is the thing.
Right.
And I'm going to start again. And it just, it just kept pulling away from all of the more important things, because I tried to learn all the details, and I tried to, so, like, it would fade away because it wasn't working.
Right.
And now I'm like, fuck it.
Now, there's 2 theories I'm interested in.
Oh shit, here's all this stuff that I should have been doing. Now I should probably catch up on that.
Yeah. I'm interested in your opinions on the 2 theories that many people have. One is dive all in on one thing. Like, stop with the spreading out of whatever and just dedicate 150% to one thing. The other theory is the exact opposite, which is try a million things, because it only takes one thing, and most likely, the law of averages, one of those things is going to be the thing that takes off. I'm so torn between those 2 theories on, like, which one is really the path to success. My opinion is that both are the path. But, like, what do you guys, those 2 theories, all in on one thing and, like, just, every day, that thing, mastery, 10,000 hours, whatever, right?
So just heard this exact thing this morning on a podcast.
Do tell.
So the guy was talking about having multiple streams of income, right? Because like the scenario that we just went through with COVID and are still going through, that impacted different verticals very differently, right?
Right.
So he said, master the one thing first, get that on autopilot, and as soon as that's on autopilot, then pursue the second. Get that running so that's on autopilot, then pursue the third. That was his opinion. He's very successful in what he does, and he's our age. He's late 30s, early 40s. That was his advice. Do not jump into, a gazillion different things to test them. At some point in time, we have to stop testing.
But what about the things that take time? Like, for example,
I would say coming from your standpoint is like we had this conversation, I think, on a previous show where you're happy with the type of music that you participate in, and you don't necessarily have the passion to get into different types, meaning like a solo career or things like that. So for you, maybe that path wouldn't work, but like testing things, you have to realize like you're starting from ground zero. So that's the one problem that I've experienced is starting something brand new, and like
you're a baby.
You live for like figuring it out.
You're a baby.
2:00 in the morning.
It's exciting.
It's like I'm gonna.
The problem is,
learn
and
all
this
this shit.
goes back to this: you start things, you get excited, and you hit a roadblock. The problem with trying a zillion things when you're doing it alone, I would venture to guess most people in that world of like starting, don't ever clear the hump.
Right.
Without getting close to the sun of somebody who's successful doing that.
Right.
Close enough that they're going to help you.
Right.
Not close enough to like listening to their podcast.
Right. And I don't want to be jack of all trades, master of none. I don't like that. But at the same time, like, for example, a real life example, I'm very, very much into like investment property right now.
Right now.
And I'm digging in.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that is not an overnight success thing. That's like a long-term play of decades of of wealth and of building assets but I need the knowledge to start. I need property 1 and 2 to start. I'm not going to be a master of that. So like your guys' approach, master one thing, that's impossible. I couldn't possibly master that and it would take too long.
It's the wrong order though.
Well, what you've mastered is you as a musician. The only problem is that who the hell would have seen it coming is COVID, right?
The whole thing
So
wipes
you've got to master something that pays the bills and keeps the money train moving. Whatever that is.
Well, maybe, right now that's the thing. Is like, what do I have right now that's doing that? Nothing.
Right.
So, that's why I'm trying all these things. What?
Sometimes that one thing temporarily isn't what's bringing us joy.
Right.
It's just like, all right, we just got to pay the bills because at 2 a.m. I am freaking like all in on the investment property thing.
Right.
And I'm learning about that while this might suck for a while.
Right.
But your one thing that you've mastered is you being a great musician.
And knowing how to get.
As soon as that opens up again, you're okay.
Then it doesn't matter how long the other things take because I've got the thing almost on autopilot.
Right. Gigs are booked, whatever, but again, who would have saw what's happened coming? And so, that's where, so now it's shame on us if we move forward through this and we don't if we're not working on that thing, which you are, your Ameritrade and your real estate, you're working on those things so that should this ever happen again,
well, hopefully,
the musician piece, has to get pushed to pause.
Mm-hmm. And I'm very accepting of the fact that like those things don't need priority. Like it's like basically I'm going to college again for those things.
Sure.
but they don't need priority. If it's
Yeah.
a noble thing that comes up, digital workshop, write up one of these things, like I can just stop learning about the real estate and put it on pause for as long as I want because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? It's not an income generator yet. It doesn't matter. It's just something I know I need in my life for the long term.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So the good news is I'm aware of which things can, get moved around.
Yeah.
Well, test out the task list.
Test out the task list.
Yeah, wherever you do it.
In notes, you just use notes.
Just literally, yeah. It's
The
just
same freaking notes we use for our weekly meetings.
And it's been the same. It literally says to do. And then just a lot.
And all of the different things in the same list. Because for me, I need different lists for different things.
No, I used to do it. I used to use my reminders app, and I still have them today. We could look it up on here. And it has categories for Good Monster.
Right.
It was pre-no bull, but
No,
Jackson
right,
joke.
whatever.
I didn't use it. I didn't use it properly.
Right.
I put them in there, but then I didn't use it properly. It wasn't until I got this one master list, and it was in order, because you probably heard this before. Like, your life is a business, also.
Yeah.
Right. So yes, you have no bull, then you have your music career, and then you have life tasks. So your life is a business. So yes, you need to prioritize certain aspects of it, are more important at other times than others, but you're juggling multiple tasks in your life.
Yeah.
So having them in different task lists, unless you figure out a way that I haven't, maybe there is a way to prioritize which of those task lists is more important to look at first.
It's not.
It's not. So
It's
by
impossible.
having all of them in one list and then prioritizing them just based on importance, like if you're in financial need, well, things that make you money are more important, or figuring out forms for this or that or whatever, like
Or
that
deadlines
jumps
or shit like.
to the top of the list.
Right.
For me, my team relies on me, and I have 22 people now that rely in one way or another on me to do things.
Oh, yeah.
Make payroll, figure out client problems, put out fires. Those things
Approve shit.
jump to the top of the list if I'm holding them back, right? So now you have other people accountable. Now I have other people accountable. So having that one list is the thing that worked for me versus having the multiple lists.
I'll give that a try. Combined with a dedicated time to review that list, we'll make that list. Like every week, make that list and add to it, because every week there's a whole new set of shit that comes.
3:00 in the morning, an idea pops in, or a thing that you want to do for No Bull 2020 2.0.
Just throw
The
it in
Ninja
there.
idea came at 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
No, sorry, it came running, but then like the culmination of the thing.
Right.
Like we even used
Popped it in.
like the same list we used for the three of us. So I set one up for our home grocery list.
Oh, yeah.
And sent it to Michelle.
I do that too.
So I'm like, hey, anything that you need, throw it in here. Now I don't have to stop and ask her. She doesn't have to stop and tell me. And I'm like, hey, look at groceries now, starting this week, get picked up on Friday between 4 and 5.
Yep. Cool.
That's what I'm going. you
Nice.
There it is.
So
That was a good weakness chat.
yeah, hopefully all of you out there found a little bit of tidbits from our own weaknesses, and
Drop it
Trying
in the
to
comments, the
figure that shit
messages.
out.
Tell us your weaknesses. Tell us your strengths. Tell us how to fix ours. Say whatever you want. Just say something.
yeah. So as always, we are super appreciative to those that tune in with us. It means a ton as we're growing this rocket ship known as the No Bull Company. Don't forget, you can find these episodes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8:30 p.m. Facebook, YouTube if you'd like to watch it. All the podcasting platforms, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, Google if you'd like to listen to it. We love you all. Thank you so much. Until then, cheers everyone to life and business. May you prosper in both.